I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Finns around the region are planning an entire year of events celebrating the centennial of their homeland's independence.
We'll meet a Superior couple who are now citizens of the world. You see, a couple of years ago they sold their home, quit their jobs, and started traveling, and they haven't stopped since.
And we'll have the week's business headlines and a story that was in the news 25 years ago.
A little something for everyone, up next on Almanac North. Well, hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching, and it's great to be back. I was gone last week, so nice to be back in house.
We always miss you when you're gone, but Jack Sutherland was here, did a fine job. Good to have him here.
That's what I understand.
Back in the seat.
We've got some great topics tonight. Let's get started.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. Welcome, everyone. If you've noticed your Finnish friends showing more pride than usual in their heritage, there's a good reason. You see, 2017 marks the 100th anniversary of Finland's declaration of independence from Russia. Finns across the region have many activities planned this year, beginning with an event in Duluth this weekend. And here to tell us more is Arlene Tucker, president of the Ladies of Kaleva in Duluth, and Sue Sigle is a longtime member of the Ladies of Kaleva. And thanks to both of you for being here.
Well, thank you for having us.
For those who are not of Finnish descent, what is the group, the Ladies of Kaleva?
I think I will refer that to Sue. She has she's had more years in it than
All right, I'm sorry. Sue, go ahead.
Next year it'll be 25 years.
Ah.
Wow. What is the group all about?
The Ladies of Kaleva are part of an organization that is across the United States and Canada. It's the Knights and Ladies of Kaleva. The men have their own groups and the women have ours. There are about 12 or 13 ladies groups. They're called tupas. The one in Duluth is called Alotaren tupa, which means the waves of Lake Superior. And the men have their mayas. Tupa and maya refer to homes, houses, whatever.
So you're celebrating Finland's independence. Why is that important for Americans of Finnish descent?
Well, I think both of us, Sue and I, we're first generation on one side of our parents and second on the other. So I think we probably have quite a direct passion for our Finnish heritage. And both of us, even though we grew up in different parts, in different states even, started out speaking Finnish. I didn't learn English till first grade. And so you keep all that, and you know, a lot of times being in a Finnish community. I grew up in an area in Minnesota that they call the Finnish Triangle. And so we went to Finnish, had a pastor who spoke Finnish, and we went to Finnish church services. So I think there's a lot of those opportunities out there.
Growing up on Minnesota's Iron Range, I certainly grew up with a lot of people of Finnish descent. And I noticed in them, and still do today, they are fiercely proud. Tell us about that.
Definitely. As Arlene said, Finnish was my first language.
Sure.
And we both belong to the Kantelen soittajat, which is, the kantele is the Finnish national instrument. And we have a group here in town, about 12 active members. One of the songs, we performed twice yesterday in two harbors, at a nursing home and an assisted living place. And one of the songs we played was Kotimaani Ompi Suomi, which means my homeland is Finland. I used to sing that song walking to the school bus and back.
Those of us familiar with this area obviously know of many cultural things that the Finns have brought from the old country here. Of course, the Finnish sauna bath.
Oh, yes.
But there are many other things too, foods, celebrations.
Celebrations, and especially the one that we're having now
Yeah.
on Sunday, which is called Kaleva Day. And the Kaleva is Sue is holding up a book that has, and it is folk tales that had been gathered hundreds of years ago. And then that were just oral stories that were
Sure.
told from home to home until a man by
John Stone emigrated from Finland in the 1880s, I believe, and landed eventually in Montana, in the mining area. And he was disappointed in how the Finnish people were behaving, and he was impressed with the Masons, how they were developed, had their organization. So he started a group called the Knights of Kaleva.
What will be happening on Kalevala Day?
Oh, Kaleva Day, we'll have music. Our Gantalin Soitiat, our Kantala group, will be playing at 1:30. And then at 2 o'clock, we have a program. And so we are really excited to have Marianne Wardelan, who is the Honorary Consul of Finland, and she lives in Minneapolis. And so she's going to be speaking about the Kalevala's contribution to Finnish identity and nationhood. And so we're really excited about that because she is very, very versed in everything Finnish.
Sure.
And then after that, then we have one of our members we will be performing an honor ceremony for her 50th year as a member in our Ladies of Kaleva. And so her name is Aini Lindquist, and so very excited about that.
Sure.
Along with that, then we also have a marketplace, which we call a tori. And so we'll have baked goods for sale and all kinds of other items that will be for sale. And of course, coffee.
Sure.
The Nordic countries, we all like coffee. And so there's going to be bulla. Bulla is a pastry that is very Finnish with cardamom in it. And so there'll be lots of things
All
that are
things
going
Finnish.
on. All things Finnish,
Yeah.
definitely.
In the city of Virginia, there's Kaleva Hall. Is there such a hall in most communities around here where the Finns settled?
There used to be.
Okay.
Kaleva Hall is one of the survivors.
Yeah. Now, as a child, I used to wonder, what goes on in there? So, what goes on in there?
The Kaleva meetings, for one thing, they hold dances and programs and instructional
Sure.
things.
I know they've preserved the building beautifully in Virginia. There's a stage in there, so
Yes.
apparently there were some wonderful productions at one time. Maybe still are.
Not too often, I don't think, but they hold a lot of their celebrations
Sure.
there. And it's kind of like a museum also. They have some old kantalas,
Right.
the big ones, and the national costumes, the old costumes that.
Wow. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, each area in Finland then would have their own costumes, different types of colors and skirts and different types of, for all the different areas. And
As this country ages, are we finding that today's young people are less inclined to be as enthusiastic about heritage?
I think it depends on the families as to where they're in, because I've been a member of a foundation called Salalampi Foundation for a long time, and that's a language camp, a Finnish language camp. And there would not be a Finnish language camp of Concordias if it wasn't for a lot of Finns thinking that this is something that's very important to preserve language. And we have so many students that are going there each year.
That's wonderful.
Was this something that you tried to do in your own homes as you had families growing up? Things that you would share with your kids, or?
Definitely,
yes.
definitely. And with my mother is limited English, and so everybody really has a very good time with her in terms of learning Finnish, and it's something that we all want to keep on learning and keeping our Finnish heritage.
Those who are very, very proud of their heritage tend to travel back to the old country, even a generation or two later. Have you done that?
3 times.
3
we've done.
times.
I've traveled more times than I can count.
Really?
So
Back to Finland.
yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I
love
do
it
too.
there.
I have more family in Finland than I have here.
Really?
Yes.
And you still speak the language, so when you go over there, you're able to communicate pretty well with
Yes.
family members?
I was surprised when I was there that people who were not family members ask me when I left Finland.
I think, certainly my aunts and my uncle's family in that age, they do not understand English, so I speak Finnish to them.
Certainly.
But certainly my cousins, my first cousins, and their children, they all learn English in school.
Sure.
What are some of the other events that people can kind of be on the lookout for as you have this 1-year celebration?
Well, there's various other groups. There's a group that's called the Finland 100 Northland, who is a kind of an offshoot from the Finlandia Foundation Northland, and has a lot of things that are planned. And we had something planned for Tuesday, but with the snow melting, I think we're going to probably end up having to cancel that.
Okay.
But that was a sliding day
festival
that we were going to have at Snowflake in. And so we're really disappointed about that, because we're going to have the sliding festival and with pea soup and bulla and coffee and everything else. But there's another group that it's called the Untitled Chapter of the Minnesota Finnish American Historical Society, and that one they're planning a Vappu dance on April 30th, and Vappu means that we're glad that winter's done and spring and summer is coming. And in June we'll have a midsummer festival at Sample Beach. And obviously then in December, we're going to be doing a lot of things with Independence Day.
We're pretty much out of time, but Sunday's event is going to be where, and is everyone welcome?
Everyone is welcome.
Definitely.
And it's free, and it'll be held at Kenwood Lutheran Church, 2720 Myers Avenue in Duluth.
All right, thank you very much.
And it
Arlene?
starts at noon.
Good.
Okay.
Arlene, Sue, thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
The recycling plant will have a major impact on reducing the amount of solid waste that goes into the landfill by taking a product that is now a waste material and converting it into a valuable material to go back into the production of the high-quality papers that are made in this region.
The technology combines American, European, and Japanese ideas to produce a nearly chemical-free way to recycle paper. Most of the steps to turn this into this are done mechanically instead of chemically. Even the waste ink will be made into something useful. Combined with clay, it will become a cover for landfills.
Officials for the project say their main environmental concern is the reduction of solid waste here in our area. But the positive environmental impact could go even further than that. That's because when they recycle paper here at the new plant, they won't use chlorine, and that makes environmentalists optimistic.
Initially, it sounds wonderful, and it's nice to be able to say something good about a project, and I think everyone's done a good job with this.
Synertech officials say superior recycled fiber will divert 120,000 tons of waste paper per year from landfills. Environmentalists hope it is the beginning of a new trend in recycling. Kathy Evangelista, KDLH News.
Well, if you've dreamed of quitting your job, selling your stuff, and traveling the world, you're going to be mighty envious of our next guests. Now, back in 2014, they sold their Superior home, loaded up their backpacks, and set off for New Zealand, and they haven't stopped traveling since. They are sharing what they've learned in a popular travel blog, and are back home visiting family and friends. And Lina and David Stock, the Divergent Travelers, join us now in the studio. Thanks to both of you for being here. I think everybody wants to know, how in the world did you get the guts to do something like this, sell your home, all your belongings, and go traveling?
It was a crazy idea, and I fought her for years.
Really? Was it her idea?
It was actually my idea, yeah.
Yes.
I had this crazy idea after we had gone on our honeymoon in Thailand. We had met some people that were traveling full time, and I was like, hey, people do this?
Yes.
And he was like, no, people like us don't do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think we need to do this. And it took me a while to convince him, but here we are.
Who does that? Everybody works to have the American dream.
Yeah.
and you don't go off that path.
But the two of you did what a lot of people would love to be able to do.
You're correct.
And never do it.
You're correct.
Yeah, people tell that to us a lot.
Do they?
They're like, oh, we wish we could do that. We wish we had the guts to do what you did. So.
What did family and friends say when you first proposed this idea? Because you were pretty set in regular jobs, you had a house, you were really kind of living that
A
American.
lot of people thought we were nuts.
Yeah, they thought we were
we got a lot of slack. Our parents and relatives were very supportive. However, they didn't agree. It's not what they grew up doing. It wasn't right.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something normal for people that are in their young 30s to be doing.
Lina, what did you hope to find outside of the United States?
The world. I mean, I've always had a very unexplained and powerful wanderlust. Ever since I was young, I've always been kind of obsessed with maps and geography.
What's over there? Huh?
Yeah, I wonder what that's like, you know, like I've always dreamed about that. And when I turned 18, I took my first international trip, and that was it.
You were
It was
hooked.
done. I was hooked. Yeah. And ever since, I've been traveling. So.
Now, how do you deal with things like the language barrier as you travel around the world, or do you tend to go to countries where you're able to communicate?
It has been difficult in select areas. We always try to learn a little bit of the language, so at least we can get away with basics. But it's really surprising how you can get away with hand gestures and just memeing, hey, this, that. They really understand.
David, I think you started this trek in New Zealand?
Correct.
Why New Zealand?
I'm an avid outdoorsman. I love adventure. So New Zealand is the outdoorsman, sportsman, dream paradise.
Well, that, and it was about as far as you could get away from Wisconsin. So we're like, let's fly to the other side of the world. And so that's kind of how we picked New Zealand.
And from there, you just kind of bossed around.
I imagine that long-term travel is different from vacationing.
You're correct.
Yeah.
How is that different?
You have to be a little bit more on your toes, and you have to go with the flow. There's times where things don't work out, and it's okay, because it creates a heck of an adventure otherwise.
Yeah, because basically when you're done having an experience in one country, you're not going home to kind of defrag and kind of refresh from it. You're moving on to another country with a new language and a new culture. And so it's kind of always having to be on all the time.
I read, I think it was on your website, where you now have a new respect for your country. Tell us about that.
I have a completely renewed respect for the United States after traveling the world for 3 years now. And I have to say, when we left, I don't want to say the typical American mentality, but, you know, we were fed up. Gas prices are too high, you know, minimum wage is too low, and work. And we were like, we're definitely not coming back to the United States. We're going to settle somewhere else and have a better life. Well, now after traveling for 3 years, we've realized that America's pretty darn great. You know, we have a lot of things here that the rest of the world does not have, and we're very lucky to call ourselves Americans.
Do we take it for granted?
We definitely take it for granted, yes.
Do you think that attitudes toward Americans are changing as you've been traveling the world? Have you seen any shift in how people view you as American travelers?
It's been mixed. It's been mixed. It's been really well perceived. We don't see very many Americans traveling, at least the areas that we travel to, because we travel off the beaten paths. And the people we do meet are thrilled to see Americans. We ran into that in Egypt, where the guy was like, "Welcome to Minnesota." And we're like,
really?
This is Egypt. So people are generally thrilled to see Americans.
Yeah, and an interesting thing about that is when we first left to travel, we were a little hesitant about whether we wanted to admit we were Americans in some of the places we were traveling to.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of people had said, you know, oh, well, you're going to Egypt. I would not admit that you're an American. You know, say you're Canadian or you're British, or, and we've learned that we don't need to do that because Americans are widely accepted. They don't see a lot of us out in the world, and so when they get a chance to actually meet an American, people are so excited.
So a two-part question. What was the best you discovered in your travels, and what was the worst you discovered in your travels?
By country or just
generally
by experience?
speaking, was there an experience that this was it? This is really so good.
I'll take the good one.
Okay, take the good one, Lina.
So I would say freedom. Just freedom in life. We've been able to experience so many things that we wouldn't get to see if we just always stayed within our borders. So we have the freedom to explore, the freedom to take risks, and kind of just live life on our own terms. And that's been kind of great.
Is there a worst? Maybe there isn't.
Yeah, there really isn't.
Yeah.
I was trying to think what would be a worst outcome, but you know, we view it as
a learning experience.
Everything is a learning experience.
Everything's a learning experience, but you have to live your dream, otherwise you're going to live someone else's dream.
Yep.
So you have to go out there and just see the world, and don't be scared. It's not a dangerous place. That's a lot of people perceive it as.
Some of your adventures look kind of dangerous. We have some pictures that we'll kind of run through. Maybe the two of you can just share a little bit about those experiences for us.
That's in the Philippines.
Oh, beautiful.
We spent 9 days on a sea safari going to El Nino to Coron.
We spent a lot of time kayaking. We lived on, this is a bunka boat.
Yep.
And so we were living off of that and just sailing between islands.
Yep,
and,
we'd camp
and
on remote
camping.
islands and buy local fish and cook on the beach.
Wow.
This is boogie boarding in Sri Lanka. We had been traveling kind of fast through Sri Lanka, and we got to this sleepy little seaside town called Marissa, and they had a fabulous beach, and the waves were cranking that day. I mean, they were like 10 or 12 foot waves, and the little guest house we were staying at offered us some boogie boards and said, hey, you want to go play in the ocean? And we're like, sure. And we ended up spending like 3 or 4 hours out there that day. India.
Yep. Taj Mahal.
This is the Taj Mahal. Yep. India was probably one of the most challenging travel experiences that we had.
But the most interesting too.
But very interesting and very rewarding. And one of the things that was very crucial in helping me gain a new perspective, especially in that article that I explained that recently is published on our website, just our lives are pretty darn good. Even on the worst of our days, we're still not dealing with the things that a lot of the people in India are.
Ooh.
That would be skydiving in New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are brave.
Now we've also skydived in
Namibia
over the desert.
And speaking of the desert?
Yep.
Yeah, this is the Sahara Desert in Morocco. We were about 20 kilometers away from the Algerian border here. We did a camel trek and slept in traditional Bedouin camp, which was very nice. Just nothing but the stars above us and a little campfire and traditional music, and it was really a magical moment.
The world is so different, isn't it, from what we consider our little corner where we live?
You're
Absolutely.
correct.
Yeah.
You're correct. And that can be from any little area. I mean, even just in the States, how it can be different from one state to the next.
So, David, what's next on your travel plans?
We have a lot. Our big thing we're excited about is we are heading to Fiji. We have a few top 100 adventures. We're on a mission right now to complete the world's top 100 adventures. And these are 100 adventures from big media companies like Lonely Planet, National Geographic, Travel and Leisure. And Fiji has
rafting the upper Nabao River.
Oh,
and
wow.
so that's one of the reasons why we're heading to Fiji.
Yeah.
We've also got Jordan on the travel plans, a trip to Antarctica, and all of this is in correlation to this new top 100 list that we're working on accomplishing and documenting.
So will you be gone for a year or 2 years before you come back home again?
Probably a couple months at a time.
Oh, I see, okay.
And then come back.
Then come back and
yeah,
rest up.
the Northland, for whatever reason, just keeps pulling us
It's a
back.
magnet.
Yeah.
It is.
It's all the pine trees.
As you traveled, have you discovered that there is, on some level, a need for people to have roots, or not?
I don't know. That's a really great question. I think roots always pull at you, whether you want to admit it or not. I mean, we kind of were in denial about it for a while, but we always want to come back here. This is home.
Yeah.
You know, Lake Superior, like I said, the pine trees, family, friends. I mean, our entire life prior to travel was here. So, yeah.
Do you
it's just-
see doing this for the rest of your lives?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you figured out a way to make the economics of it work, I understand.
Yep.
So you take pictures, you take people on tours, and
Yes, so
you have sponsors on your website.
Yep.
So there are ways to come up with some
There are ways.
creative
Absolutely.
ways of
Yep.
living exciting lives.
Well,
Yeah.
all right, we've got to go. We thank you very much, David,
having
Lina.
us.
Great conversation. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing your life story.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Time now for the week's top business stories from Business North. President Donald Trump said Thursday he would visit U.S. Steel's taconite operations in Minnesota. His comment came at a meeting with manufacturing chief executives. Trump was invited to visit U.S. Steel's mining operations by Mario Longhi, president and CEO of the company. "I'll do it, I'll be out there," Trump responded. His remark came during a general conversation and did not include any details. Trump expressed optimism about the domestic steel industry, crediting himself for pushing the Keystone and Dakota pipeline projects forward.
Well, the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce unveiled new research this week that addresses the contributions of immigrants in Minnesota and highlights the need for immigration reform. The research concludes that Minnesota must welcome immigrants to ensure economic growth. In 2014, immigrants paid $3.3 billion in state and local taxes and spent $8.9 billion. The study added that almost 53,000 people are employed at immigrant-owned companies.
The former mayor of Beauvais, who was elected to the city council last week in a special election, is facing criminal charges. Michael Bibich is charged with one felony count of aiding and abetting theft and one gross misdemeanor count of misconduct of a public officer. He allegedly removed property from the former Spur station in downtown Beauvais. The station was under the protection of Itasca County as tax forfeited property. Authorities say the items were removed with the assistance of Beauvais City Crews and had a value of $1,600. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
Have a comment you'd like to share? Well, now's the time to call. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send us an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org. And don't forget the WDSC website when you're looking for the latest program information, updates on station events, and other news from public television. Well, the big storm forecast this week missed us. Good news for some, bad news for others, like those who wanted to race the Birkebeiner in Hayward. It was canceled.
Sad that the race was canceled. Lots of people disappointed about that.
Yep, they canceled it once. I think it was in 2000 as well, so it does happen. Well, for Julie and the crew at Almanac North, I'm Dennis Anderson. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody, and be kind.